there's a couple mistakes that smaller businesses make when it comes to succession planning. One is they don't understand the difference between performance and potential. And they're two different things.
Yeah.
Performance is measuring history, and potential is forecasting the future.
Right.
And you need to understand what potential looks like for leadership in your organization. So that's number one. Number two, they don't understand what the core competencies of leadership are for their organization. There's some that are generic, taking initiative, but there are other ones like strategic thinking.
Right.
That you might have a high performer, but they may not be a strategic thinker.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they can't become one, but you've got to create a development plan.
Yeah.
So you've got to understand the gaps.
So you can teach strategic thinking?
You can, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
There's a wide girth there of what strategic thinking is.
Yeah, and as a strategic thinker, because really and honestly, I think that's all I do. Right? I'm like playing chess constantly.
Yes.
I think strategic thinkers think everyone thinks strategically,
right,
and they already see the plan, and that it's a challenge.
Right.
It really is a challenge.
Yes.
I'm always like, we're obviously doing this, right?
Right.
And
that impacts your communication.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Oh yeah. There's like, my wife will say, you will start a sentence mid, like you've already been thinking about something, and then you'll say something,
right,
and I'm like, okay, could you tell me what you were thinking about?
But part of that is your pace too.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That you've thought half of it through, and you're going to finish it in verbally.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I do that too.
Yeah.
Husband's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. That's an important point, because I always assume that people are thinking about it that way, and not everybody thinks.
That's where assessments are very helpful.
Yes. You're a big proponent.
Yes,
and
I am.
Those have been very helpful for us. Yes, to understand kind of how
not
people
just
fit.
from a team and development perspective, but from a hiring perspective.
Yeah.
To really understand the values and behaviors that are going to support those values of your company, and then hire to that based on the assessment.
Yeah.
And a lot of smaller companies, that's one of the things they don't do.
Yeah.
They either use an assessment, but it's not validated for hiring,
Right.
which is not a good thing. Or they really they aren't matching results to the actual job description that they're looking for. So it's important to have a profile within the assessment to match. A lot of smaller companies will use like DISC or Myers-Briggs, which are great for development and team building, but not so much for hiring.
Yeah, and also using the assessments properly. So Rick, you know Rick Hutchek?
Yes.
Yeah, he was a Vistage chair for a period of time.
Well, he was long,
and he has a weekly newsletter. And this week, his newsletter was about the one phrase that he hates when people say, "I'm just that way." And people use assessments that. I'm just that way.
There's actually a client that you've given me who tends to say that.
Yeah, I'm just that way. It's
yeah.
Like, no.
That's
not how it works.
No, and as especially as a leader,
right?
You need to realize that your job is to adapt to the people around you.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah,
At least, really, as a leader, see yourself as the least important person, and you're trying to fire yourself all the time.
Yeah, and as a business owner, you never realize how you're always on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, when my husband and I had our consulting company back in the 90s, early 2000s, he came to me, he said, Beth, people are watching us.
Yeah.
And what we do, and the cars we drive, and all these different things. And I always just thought, well, gee, I'm just a business owner, but not to other people.
Yeah. Well, and knowing that from a consistency perspective, one of the companies I owned, we had this weekly meeting. My operations team, I ran operations. My business partner ran sales. And I was always there 5 minutes before the meeting, ran the meeting, and he would show up late. And of course his salespeople did, right?
Exactly.
What he did was okay.
Right.
It's not what I tell you to do. It's
right. You've got to be a role model.
You've got to model it. If
you
tell people something's important and you don't participate or act like it's
Exactly.
important, it's not going to be important.
That's not really not right.
Yeah.
Exactly.